Before I get into any sort of spoilers in this video, I will let you know so you are totally safe if you have not seen this movie yet. Hey guys, what's going on? Troll Pal CHH here, and the day's finally come. We're here to talk about Terrifier 3. As I said, no spoilers before I give you a big warning, but let's just get right into this thing. Here's a prediction I want to make about this movie. It's not going to be split down the middle by any means, because I think overwhelmingly this movie is going to have as big as a following and as big as love and reverence as Part 2 did. But I do think that Part 3 is going to have a fraction of people that are finally going to be turned away. They're finally going to say, yeah, I'm not into this anymore. Why? Because Terrifier 3, in 32 years of watching horror movies, I can't think of... There's only a few movies that I think could get close, rival, and or beat it. But my point is, Terrifier 3 is so incredibly mean-spirited. And almost not in a way that 2 had this over-the-topness that kind of made you laugh at how incredible it was. No, this one to me just came across genuinely mean-spirited. I'll tell you this, to the point where I kind of didn't like Art. Like, I was just, which is the point. I mean, he's the villain of the movie, but I was just like, I effing hate this clown. He was so incredibly mean and visceral. There are decisions made in this film that were pretty surprising to me. Now, Damien Leone clearly looks like he wants to press some buttons and press them hard, not just tap them, and he does that. Obviously, I'm not going to get into specifics in the non-spoiler part, but let me just put it to you like this. Nobody is off the table in Terrifier 3. If you are on screen, there is a chance you can die. I'll put it to you like that. For right or wrong, there's a chance you can die. So this movie is a Christmas movie, which I do kind of wonder why they released this movie in October, but I think one of the decisions for this was, number one, I don't know if they want to compete with Nosferatu whatsoever, and number two, this is a movie that takes place during Christmas, and obviously there are themes of Christmas throughout the movie, but it's not a theme that's shoved down your throat, so I can see why they were like, we can throw this out during October. It's not going to be too jarring. And it wasn't too jarring. Clearly, this will be a movie you'll want to revisit during Christmas time. I think the Blu-ray for this movie is going to come out, obviously, in the middle of December. So if you don't see it in the theaters, you'll be able to own this before Christmas comes, and you can enjoy it that way. It's one of those things to where I gotta give Leone some credit, because I've witnessed a lot in my life, especially with horror films. I'm the kind of person that, to me, bring it on. Tell me it's disturbing. Tell me it's messed up. Bring it on. I want to witness it all. I want to see how far things can be pushed. He pushes it in 3, man. It's if you thought 2 was intense, 3 does more for you here as much as it does like through the eyes. Like 3, the decisions in 3 and the things he does will mentally challenge you as much as what your eyes will see. So yeah, and thematically and storyline-wise, that's another thing that's very, very interesting with 3. He really took some creative decisions in terms of storytelling and how we're going to present these characters and just the way the movie flows. Again, I'll get into more specifics during the spoiler part, but this movie does not feel like 2 whatsoever, in my opinion. Obviously, Lauren Levera, the star of the film, is a big part of this movie. But, you know, we've got new characters coming in, obviously, because a lot of people died in 2 that were big characters in 2. The decisions he chose for this one, he's definitely trying to make each film stand on its own and not repeat. He doesn't want to repeat himself, it feels like. Obviously, the element of the extreme gore is there, but even in that aspect, I think in this one he says, I want to disturb people as much mentally as I do visually. So that's the decision, I think, that could start to turn certain people away. I like this movie a lot. Is it my favorite one? I think it could be, because I'm pretty impressed that the movie bothered me in some scenes. And I got to give him credit for that. The fact that he actually bothered me, I didn't think could be possible at this point, because I've seen a lot. And it's hard for me to just be like, Jesus, man. But no, there were scenes that he did that. Some of the death sequences are things, I think, in the back of our mind when watching horror movies we've thought about where they don't actually go there or do that. And he does those things that are in the dark recesses, the back parts of our minds in these sequences he does them to the 10th degree. Things that are just like they could never do. You watch a movie from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, a horror movie, a slasher film, and you say to yourself, what would be really disturbing is if this happened. Obviously, nothing even remotely like that happens in those movies. But in his movie, in 3 specifically, he does that. He goes all the way with that. So it's impressive how he was able to genuinely bother me. So this is, if you're watching this, odds are you're a big horror fan and you're going to see this movie regardless. So I'm going to assume that most of you watching this are just wanting to know if I liked it. I did. I'm impressed more than anything. I really am impressed by this movie more than anything. And another thing where horror fans may not like this at all, they'll look at these movies as one-trick ponies. I don't see it that way, but I think what it really comes down to is, are you digging the character of Sienna? Because if you are, you're not going to see this movie as any sort of one-trick pony. You're going to be enthralled with her character, and I liked her in 3 the most. I thought her acting range was good in this, too. I was pretty impressed. So she, to me, is a huge part of the success of what these movies are going to be in the future, as well as what they 2 and 3 have become. So good for her. I was really impressed by her. But if you're not connecting with that or the story of that, you're not going to, I think you are going to see this as a one-trick pony, and that could be what turns away people. I don't know. So that'll be something you'll have to decide for yourself for sure. At the end of the day, I do like it, but Jesus, man, like I said, I'm impressed. I am impressed that he was able to actually get under my skin and just make me bothered. All right, so here is the spoiler part. If you don't want to talk about spoilers, you can go now. I think what really got me was obviously the stuff with the kids in this movie. You know, I don't watch trailers anymore by design, but I do remember everybody talking about the trailer for this movie initially saying, "Oh my God, I think he's actually going to harm children in this movie." Obviously, not literally people, because it's a movie. My point is, kids are kind of like the sacred cow, so to speak. Even though this isn't breaking total new ground. I mean, John Carpenter did this with Precinct 13. Yeah, he goes for it. But then he doesn't. You don't visually see kids being harmed on the movie. It's off screen, or it's the explosions that happen. But the fact that he does that, I think, is a way for him to say, oh yeah, that stuff that you're wondering, oh, you're not going to do that? Yeah, of course I'll do it. Of course I'll go there. Of course I'll push that button. And that's where I think it could draw the line with people, you know. And for me, it's fake. It's a movie, whatever. But, you know, I'm just one person. It's going to be interesting to see how people react to this movie. I can tell you that right now. The sequence with the couple in the shower is truly insane. It's impressive. Like, there's a point where it goes beyond just being gross to where it's just like I'm actually you're kind of in a state of disbelief that you're witnessing something like that. I walked away. The biggest thing for me that I walked away with is, okay, so he's making some interesting choices here, because we're clearly getting a little bit more about the dad with the dream sequence, or the sequence with the dad that she had. The brother Elliot being in this movie just a little bit, and it looks like he's dead. Really, the movie ends on a total cliffhanger. So, I mean, he's really rolling the dice with not making each film seem like he has already assumed that this movie is going to be hugely successful and that they're going to do another one, which clearly they're going to do another one. But it's really interesting how this movie didn't have any sort of payoff whatsoever. If anything, there's more questions. We saw the disappearance in that big hole in the room where all the psychedelic stuff comes into play of her little cousin, I think. So now we're going to figure out what's going on with her in the next one, I assume. We're going to find out more about the dad, because they creep into more of that. But still, you have more questions. Not necessarily more questions than answers. You get hint at answers, but now you're just you're really re-asking a lot of those questions. So he spoon-fed you some stuff in there, which is fine. I guess if you're going to make more, you don't necessarily have to answer everything right away, as long as you can keep people interested. But yeah, he's banking on these being super successful, because it's a cliffhanger ending. It's a non-ending, so to speak. I feel like at this point, the next one, I think he really may need to go in a different direction. Because then I don't want it to become redundant. I mean, clearly this one to me was way more mean-spirited than the last one. The last one was almost like the show and tell of gore effects, but this one, Art was really just a mean. He was just so mean, and like he was a real bastard. So that element I liked. He did put it in a new light. But now I wonder what's going to be the next step. I mean, how do you top that aspect? Which do you do you take a different lane, or do you kind of take things on a different aspect altogether? We'll see. But yeah, the fact that they take out kids with bombs, chopping them up with the axe, is just like, Jesus, man. This movie bothered me a little bit, which, I say that as an impressive thing. So, I don't know, guys. There we have it. That was Terrifier 3. I can't wait to see what you guys say about this film down below. Like I said, I think overall this movie's going to get a lot of praise, but I do think you're going to see a section of people that are going to check out. I really do. Let me know what you guys think about Terrifier 3. That's going to be it for now. This is your old pal CHH. Take care, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye. Huge, giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind-the-scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.